Senators on both sides of the aisle are voicing doubts about the House GOP's $14.3 billion aid bill for Israel. The standalone spending bill is the first major legislative action under new House Speaker Mike Johnson. It's a counter to President Joe Biden's push for a $106 billion supplemental spending package that would include aid for Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion joins us now from Capitol Hill to break it all down for us. Nikole, what are the big concerns with the Republican-backed spending bill and what it's proposing?
Well, there are many concerns, both by Democrats and some Senate Republicans, specifically with respect to making this a standalone bill, number one, because you have many lawmakers who believe that Ukraine funding also needs to be included, and that was part of a broader ask by the White House. There's also the issue of how this standalone bill would be paid for. Speaker Johnson has proposed using offsets from the IRS in order to fund this $14.3 billion package. And so for many Democrats right there, that's also a non-starter. Not to mention you have the Congressional Budget Office this morning suggesting that this mechanism would actually add to the deficit by some $26 billion. A short time ago, Speaker Johnson said he wasn't surprised at all by that CBO score or projection, but it does raise questions about the viability of the bill, although Speaker Johnson insists he wants to move forward with it as soon as tomorrow.
Nikole, how likely is it that it will pass?
Well, again, I think it remains to be seen, as Speaker Johnson feels relatively confident in terms of trying to move the ball forward here. He has also called this bill a first step, but as I mentioned, it's unlikely to garner much Democratic support. And even if it does pass the House, Leader Chuck Schumer, who has said that this basically is a joke, that it's not a serious proposal, so it's unlikely to garner much traction over in the Senate.
Yesterday, Nikole, Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin spoke before Senate lawmakers in an attempt to sway them to pass President Biden's $106 billion spending package. Where do things stand with that bill now?
Well, again, that's kind of the debate and tug of war that's happening both between the House and the Senate. Again, Leader Chuck Schumer would like to move that White House package forward, although there is some skepticism among Senate Republicans. There's a divide over this bill, and again, specifically more on this issue of Ukraine funding. There have been some Senate Republicans who support the House's approach and this idea of moving a standalone bill, but there are others, including Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who have expressed support for the administration's package, keeping everything tied together: Israel, Ukraine, the Indo-Pacific, as well as border funding. And so that is an issue that's going to have to be addressed among Senate Republicans. We know they are meeting for lunch this hour and actually will be addressed by Speaker Johnson. So we'll kind of see what comes out of that meeting. But really, it's likely that the Senate would move the ball forward with respect to that White House package, since, again, as far as the House, Speaker Johnson has made clear he wants to strictly move forward with this standalone package to Israel.
All right, let's turn now to embattled New York Representative George Santos. A lot of drama still there. House lawmakers could soon vote to expel the Republican as federal charges mount against him. Meanwhile, the Ethics Committee is expected to announce its next course of action in its investigation into Santos. When can we expect to see action? And could the outcome of one of these things influence the other?
Well, the House is poised to vote on a potential expulsion resolution against George Santos as soon as this evening. It is currently on their voting schedule. The question is whether or not there are the votes to move it forward. We know some of the New York Republicans who have been pushing this resolution have circulated a Dear Colleague letter to some of their House colleagues, kind of arguing why they should move forward with this resolution. They acknowledge that there have been some concerns expressed about it, whether that is the the impact it could have on Republicans' majority, or whether it's, just the procedure and process of this all, since technically George Santos has not officially been convicted of any charges, whether they should allow that due process to play out. So this letter kind of walks through some of those concerns that some members have expressed, pushing back against some of those ideas, and again, trying to encourage members to support this resolution. But if it ultimately fails, then, obviously it will not move forward. There's also some thinking or questions about whether or not the proposal could get pulled, and, perhaps they wait to take action on this expulsion resolution, depending on what comes out of the House Ethics Probe, particularly if they are expected to report out more with respect to their investigation in the next couple of weeks. So it is a bit of a wait and see, but for now, it is on the docket.
All right, Nikole Killion, always great to see you. Thank you.
You bet.